If you want to get into hiking or become a nature girly but you don't like camping and you're a little intimidated by it, here's a review of all of the treks I've done in the past few years as a full-time traveler. Number 1, the Salcantay trek to Machu Picchu is the first trek that I ever did. It's 4 days and probably the hardest thing I've ever done. The trekking days are pretty long and the elevation is what makes it hard. It goes up to 4,600 meters. The accommodation is pretty comfortable and the food is amazing. The bathrooms are like okay, and there isn't really hot water to shower. It also gets very cold at night because of the altitude, but I did it with a guide and porters and it was honestly amazing and the guide was so good. And obviously the views were spectacular. The second big trek or multi-day hike that I've ever done is the Camino de Santiago. It's more of a walk than a hike because there isn't much elevation gain, but it's a long walk. I did it for 5 days and I averaged 20 to 25 kilometers a day. This is a pilgrimage that ends in the north of Spain and you can basically start it anywhere. I did this solo and I loved it and met a ton of people and it was super safe. The accommodations are all hostels and they were super comfortable and clean and had great bathrooms. And the food on the way was also very delicious. The third trek that I've ever done was the Caucasus Mountain Range in Georgia. This was a 4-day hike that I planned ourselves with a friend. It was so beautiful in the summer, but it's not a very well-known hike and it's pretty well built out with a lot of signs, but we still got lost a few times. We stayed in guest houses with locals and the bathrooms were perfect and the food was also delicious. The elevation gain isn't too bad and the hiking days aren't too long, but there aren't really any restaurants or things to do in between the guest houses, so you need to plan ahead with snacks, but it's a beautiful trek. And the most recent trek that I did was the Poon Hill trek in the Himalayas in Nepal. This is the perfect beginner trek and it's only 4 days long. The elevation isn't too bad. It only goes to 3,200 meters. We stayed in guest houses on the whole trek and everything was really well built out and there were hot showers and the food was amazing. The bathrooms on the accommodation were good, but on the trail, they were usually all squatty potties. So I always try to poop in the morning before we left for the day. It's also a lot of steps, which I think is harder than just hiking on a trail. And the views were absolutely amazing and the days weren't too long.